RedMagic 5G, yes or no? Guess we're about to find out. Hi, I'm Nicolás Fishman. English is definitely not my main language, and this is the review of the RedMagic 5G. If you'd like to buy this product, you can find some affiliate links down below, right next to the like and the subscribe button. Please be sure to enable all notifications for this channel if you'd like to keep on watching some of our content. If not, Flan, my editor, tell them what YouTube does if they don't enable all notifications. Tell them. You may have watched other reviews about this phone, but today being June 1st of course, 2020, 2 hours earlier, right before I was going to start recording this review, I got a software update. So if your main concern was about the in-display fingerprint reader, then yeah, they fixed it. As you can see, it's not as fast as, say, OnePlus's solutions, but it's super capable. Before that, 80 to 90% of the times, it just did not work. I ended up having to enter my pattern or code all the times. It was super frustrating. If you notice that the phone screen is blinking, don't worry, it's not your screen, it's not your monitor, it's not our cameras, it's not our camera configuration, it's just the width of the pulse modulation or PWM system that controls the brightness. So this is not something that you're going to be able to see in person when you hold the phone right in front of your eyes, so do not worry, but it does change how the cameras perceive the screen. There are only two ways to fix this. One of them is turn the brightness to the max, but yeah, screen is going to be burned to the camera, or just match the shutter speed, but it's not always possible. Just wanted to get that out of the way. You're getting a lot of phone for about $500. Even the most basic version sports 8 gigs of RAM with 128 gigs of internal storage, which is not expandable via micro SD card because it just doesn't have that slot, but storage is UFS 3.0. If you want to shell out more money, you can get a 256 gig version with up to 16 gigs of RAM. 16 gigabytes of RAM inside a phone. An AMOLED display with 144 Hz refresh rate, plus 300 Hz as the touch response refresh rate. The UI feels ultra smooth. It's almost like butter. Everything feels so fluid, so fast. Snapping pictures is also super quick. Just look at this. Impressive. I'd even go as far as to say that the speed that you can perceive while using this phone is almost as fast as using any other OnePlus phone of the past few years. The only thing that holds this phone back is software. For example, we've got navigation gestures. We can go to multitasking this way, go to home this way. We can also go back like this, but you cannot switch quickly to other apps. The only way to do this, just go into multitasking and then choosing another app. Fortunately, they're all stored in memory, so at least this part of switching between apps is super fast. The screen is more than okay. It's a good AMOLED panel. Colors are not completely accurate, but they're fine. However, I do suggest going to the display options, then setting normal mode, not natural mode, which is contrary to what we usually do, for example, with Samsung phones, where in natural mode we can find a better dynamic range and better color reproduction, not that like super saturated modes. So again, normal mode, and then turn the hue just a bit to the right towards a warmer image. The default settings have a bluish hue that I just do not appreciate. Over here you can change the screen refresh rate from 60, 90 and up to 144 Hz, and you can even turn off this text by pressing here. Another thing that was not available before the software update was this. You could not choose to enable the battery percentage at the top of the phone. So now we've got it. Thanks, Nubia. And yes, 144 Hz drains the battery quickly, even considering that we have a 4500 mAh battery inside this phone. It's not as high as the 6000 mAh on the ROG Phone does from Asus, but yeah, if you want to get a much better battery life, just choose 90, which is more than okay, but it's just not the same as 144. And yes, you can see the difference. It's perceivable. It's not as perceivable as going from 120 to 144, but it's definitely not placebo. Over here, down in the settings, you can find about Neo AI, which for some reason is integrated into this instead of, for example, a tutorial or a message that you can just turn off. But yeah, over here, Nubia tells us about the intelligent adjustment of refresh rate. So for example, if you're watching a YouTube video like this one, probably on the toilet, or say a movie on Netflix, then the screen refresh rate will default to 60 Hz and not 90 or 144. This phone's not conventional at all in its design. And no, I'm not talking about the inclusion of the 3.5mm jack, which is much appreciated, thank you Nubia. I'm talking about this. And this. You've got your power and volume keys over here, but then here and here you'll find two capacitive shoulder triggers. They're not ultrasonic though, like the ROG Phone 2s. So when you touch them, they'll just behave like, for example, a capacitive fingerprint reader. What about this, and this then? Well, this is the air intake grill for the fan that lives inside the phone, which will then exhaust hot air through the other side. This means that when you're holding the phone like this, for example for gaming, then the air will flow from here to here, following obviously the laws of thermodynamics. Can you hear the fan working? Yeah, absolutely, but it's nothing to worry about, I'll show you in a bit. But before that, let me tell you that this phone is slippery as hell, and yeah, it does love fingerprints, so be sure to put a skin or preferably a case on it. Finally, to enable gaming mode, you can flip on this switch. Don't worry, if you'd like to turn this off, you can just do this. And we're done. So this is the place where all your games are going to live. You cannot go out of this mode unless you turn off this key. So if we do this, and we even touch on the back virtual button all the time, or if you swipe from the bottom or from the side, there's absolutely no way of getting out. From here you can turn off and on the cooling fan. You can tell the phone to adjust the speed of the fan automatically, or you can just set it to the max. I told you, you can hear it, but it's not that bad. It's probably not even going to be at max speed all the time. Does it actually work? Well, in my experience, yes. But in Argentina, we're about to enter winter, so I couldn't test it on really hot days. The most important thing that I noticed is that this part of the phone doesn't get as hot as it usually does on other phones for extended periods of gaming. You can even turn on an RGB strip that's located at the back of the phone over here. You can customize the colors and how it lights up, but even when it's off, it still displays some kind of rainbow effect, depending on how the light hits it. To set up the triggers, you just touch here, then move them to wherever you want it to be. You can even adjust the touch sensitivity. It's not that it's going to be that much more sensitive, it's that it feels faster, like more responsive to the touch. Unfortunately, you cannot rest your fingers on the triggers and then just keep on pressing like the ultrasonic ones on the ROG Phone 2. I know, I've mentioned it so many times, but I think that's the reference gaming phone right now. But you can rest your fingers over here and the phone will not register any touches, so don't worry. There's also a 4D touch, which only works in these games, and essentially what it does is it vibrates the phone according to bass, but it depends on how high you've got your volume. And yes, these speakers, the stereo pair, get loud, very loud. And the triggers, they just work. And yeah, don't pay attention to me crashing into everything. I'm just trying to record and game at the same time. You can press them as fast as you want and they'll register. Once again, to go back, you have to press on the back button over here. Do keep in mind that if you turn off gaming mode, it won't push you out of the game. It'll just leave you there. If you want to exit, just do this and you're out. Let's continue with the camera. The app is enough for most cases. You've even got a pro mode with shutter speed, focus, EVs, and more. The only thing I'd like to criticize is this. If you want to zoom in, you don't have to tap on the 1x. You have to do it on the dots. And you cannot know in advance which ones are which. So yeah, after a while you get accustomed to 3, 5, and 10, but there's no way to know. And you cannot even slide to zoom, only this way. As far as video goes, you can shoot up to 1080-30 with the front camera in H.264 or H.265 and HDR10. But this is how it looks when you play back an HDR10 video recorded with the front camera on the RedMagic 5G. So maybe don't use it. You can take macro shots by going to camera family and then macro. Let me bring out a better test subject for the photo. You can even see focus peaking using the magnifying glass, and this is how it looks. It's a fun mode. It's not great by any means, but it's there. If you want to use it, you can. What about camera quality then? In photography, well, the results are basically what we expected. Photos are mostly fine, with colors being not that much saturated, except when you use the AI enhancement techniques, where you'll see, for example, foot plates with saturation levels pushed to the max. But I'd like to say that video capabilities on this phone are much better in terms of sharpness, color reproduction, even noise performance. Naturally, this is achieved when you shoot at 4K 60 FPS. You can shoot at 8K, but it's only up to 15 FPS. So you can do it and have fun by saying, I recorded an 8K video, but it's not going to be usable, except for taking screenshots of that video, maybe. What about battery life? Well, considering that you have a 4500 mAh battery inside, it should be more than enough if you use it at 60 or maybe 90 Hz. If you use it at 144, it's going to be drained pretty fast. I just wish we would have gotten 5500 mAh, or why not 6000. And on one hand, you do receive an 18 watt charger in the box, but it's not enough to make use of the maximum 55 watts of power you can push into this big bad boy. So in that case, yes, charger sold separately. In conclusion, is the RedMagic 5G a good phone? Yeah, it's a great one, especially for the price. You will not get the best camera at this price range. Maybe look towards the Pixel 3a, probably the 4a if Google ever decides to release it. And why not the iPhone SE? But if you want this phone for basically anything else, speed, outrageously fast screen, good battery life depending on how you use it, and gaming, it's a great choice. However, in my personal opinion, I'd buy the ROG Phone 2. It has a better camera system. It doesn't have the macro one, but I don't think it's very important. The screen's colors are better calibrated. Yeah, I know, it's not 144 Hz, but it's 120. It's almost as many Hz. It has a much better battery life with 6000 mAh, a better software experience, especially less buggy, and if you want a game, the buttons are ultrasonic instead of capacitive. So once again, this phone, great buy. You will not regret it, but that 2019 gaming phone from Asus is still king, at least in my eyes. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know down in the comments. Also, down in the description, once again, you've got our social media, and do not forget to enable all notifications after you subscribe to SupraPixel. I'm Nicolás Fishman, thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.